Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your participation and your interest. My name is Michael Steinberger. I am founder and CEO of Jewish Heritage Alliance, a platform dedicated to promoting the story of Sefarad, the Jews of the Iberian Peninsula, nowadays Spain and Portugal. This is our fourth in a series of live interviews that are bringing you this week, featuring a stellar lineup of people with intimate knowledge and connection to the saga of Sefarad. I would like to thank and acknowledge Hope Network for partnering with us on these live interview series. We are proud to host Dr. Lorenzo Trujillo as our guest speaker this afternoon. Dr. Lorenzo will be discussing his family's unique lineage. While his family have been practicing Christians for as long as he can remember, Dr. Trujillo will share with us how he came to find out that he is a descendant of the Jews of Sefarad. So good afternoon, Lorenzo. Welcome, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. To set the backdrop, I will ask you an opening question. So for our listeners, I would ask if you could please share with us your background, both professional and spiritual, and try to explain to our audience when and how, or the process in which you learned of your crypto-Jewish heritage. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited about this series, and I'm excited about today to tell you my story. My story begins, I'm actually a 14th generation Hispano of northern New Mexico and southern Colorado. And so my family, I trace it back to the 1500s. I can show direct genealogical lineage to then, 1525 in Andalusia, Spain. But I grew up as a Roman Catholic with a family who have been practicing Roman Catholics. And when my grandmother was alive, she would often do many things that I thought were just normal that everybody did, cultural traditions. You know, we would sweep when we were cleaning, sweeping the house, we'd sweep to the center of the room. We wouldn't sweep the dirt outside, especially in the adobe structures. Or later on, we had dirt floors, but then we put linoleum floors, but still sweeping to the center of the room. And then always when we visited a grave site of a family member, we would place a headstone on the top of the whatever it was there, indicating that's where the family member was buried. When a family member died, we'd cover the mirrors and the photographs and the windows. It was very much a tradition for us to have bread made on Friday, special bread, woven. And I didn't really understand about that, but I knew that was wonderful and we loved eating it. And of course, we always have the beginning of prayers, blessed are you, God the Father, ruler of the universe, which is Barak Atah Adonai, which is the beginning of the Friday blessing. This was just all part of my life. Well, when my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, there was a study of her chromosome structure, and she had the BRCA gene, which is BRCA1 gene, which is typical of the people of the San Luis Valley, southern Colorado, and northern New Mexico, of the crypto Jews that settled out there. And so that was my first big aha. Then I did DNA tests, Michael. And in those DNA tests, we found that we had European Jewish, mostly Spanish. I'm mostly Spanish, in Sardinia, 2%. And that this was really interesting. I did travel to Israel. And when I was at the Tomb of David, it was such a powerful moment. Upon touching that, through my body went a rush of energy and emotion. It was really quite interesting. My cousin, who lives in Arroyo Seco, a little village where my family hails from, It's a very little village that we built back in the 1800s with adobe structures. He in recent times, I'm saying, in the last 50 years, I think, he found this mezuzah, and well, that's what we call it, and it's a crucifix. And so, Nathan, you might show everybody that crucifix. The elders don't let this be shown very much, and see where the chest of the crucifix is at? In the back of that is a little box, and in that box is a small parchment. And the elders do not allow that part. Well, first of all, they don't allow this to be shown, but they're allowing me to show it. But there's a little parchment in it, and in it, the parchment starts in Hebrew, which was interesting to me. I just found out. It says, Barak Atah Adonai. And then it goes on to say the rest of the blessing. Now, I have a cousin he's a linguist and an academic scholar, and he thinks it follows with the Benedictus, or the Song of Zechariah. Zechariah was the father of John the Baptist. But because it hasn't been photographed, I can't really tell you what it is. And then that's yet to be found. But it was interesting to me that was in Hebrew. So that's that mezuzah that was found, and he found it, he was dusting, and it fell to the ground, and that's when we found that to the back. The other thing that's interesting in my journey is the violin bow. My family have always been the musicians in the family to carry on the traditions. We have members of the family that are responsible to learn the traditional music pieces and to teach those to another member. I learned it from my father and my aunt, and we learned it from my Arroyo Seco cousin, Damian Archuleta. But my son, who is now one of the premier trumpeters in the world today, and I say that with a little bit of humility, although it doesn't sound that way, Michael. But he's a member of Pershing Zone. He was the recording artist for Natalie Cole and Aretha Franklin. And anyway, October 2nd, there's an international concert from the U.S. Army Pershing Zone. They'll be playing music. They'll be playing some music. But see that bow right there? See that sketching on it? It was found, maybe some of you know what those old wooden boxes look like, cases for violins. This was in there, and I was going through it. And it came to me, as many of the things that I have from my family from centuries. And I wondered what it was. So I asked Corinne Brown what she thought it was. And she says, well, we need to ask around. We asked Rabbi Stephen Leon. We asked Rabbi Peter Tarlow. We're asking all over different places in the world. And Peter Tarlow was very wise, and he looked at that. These sketchings are probably from one of my crypto-Judaic ancestors, representing the staff of Moses and Aaron. And Aaron, as you know, it was in the Ark of the Covenant, actually grew vines on it on the top, for those of you that are scholars that follow these things. And so you see the little markings on it. So I have that, and it's in my treasured holdings. So we can go on from there. And then my wife, we're looking at the graveyard of her family, and maybe you've seen I hope the readers have looked at Carrie Hertz's HERZ, her book of photographs called New Mexico Crypto Jews, Image and Memory. And in the graveyard are all these headstones with, well, a crucifix, but on the top of the crucifix is a menorah. Or the Star of David are on the headstones. These were things that were never revealed to family. So this is my journey that brought me. Now, the most recent thing that happened is, Spain opened up citizenship to the people that were forced to convert and expelled. But in order to do that, a person had to be certified, had to have their Jewish heritage certified. And I didn't send this to you prior to put it so you could put it up as a show piece, but I will just kind of flash it for a moment. So in that, then I got my certification that looks like this, and basically,
Can you read it to us?
yes, here's what it says. It says, "We, the undersigned, President of the Jewish Federation of New Mexico, and Rabbi Harry Rosenfeld, certify that Mr. Lorenzo Allen Trujillo, a national of the United States of America and holder of legally valid American passport, has a Sephardic Jewish heritage and descendants from those families who were unjustly expelled from Spain or forced to convert to Christianity since 1492. And additionally, I'm a member of the Jewish Federation of New Mexico." And the letter goes on and on. But Nathan, who's our technician on this program, I got papers too, Nathan, and, which is unusual. So that's my journey that brings me to my Jewish ancestry. And yes, I'm Catholic, but I also attend synagogue for like our upcoming high holidays. I will go with people that I'm very close to. My Michael, when we were talking, in my life, talk about the karma and the Jewish soul and the energy. The major mentors in my life have always been these very prominent Jewish people. In law school, I'm a lawyer. In law school, my mentor was Norman Aronson. And he comes from the Aronson family from back east. Jerry Baum, his father was the lead cantor at the synagogue in New York City. He was the guy, when I needed to establish credit, I couldn't establish credit. Jerry said, "Hey, Lorenzo, I have a company. I have a mortgage company. I'll sign the paperwork. Bring it to me from the bank." He did. I got a credit card telling me is that good? And I love Jerry for that. And then there was Harry Sterling. Harry Sterling. His father was of the Sterling law firm of New York. Harry was in New York. I graduated from law school, and he said, "Lorenzo, I'm going to give you a big federal case." I said, "Harry, no, you don't want to do that. I don't know what I'm doing." He says, "You will know what you're doing." I says, "Well, what if I screw it up?" He says, "You won't screw it up on my watch." He says, "I watch over you." So my life, I've been surrounded with this aura and caring, and that's my journey with Judaism and my Jewish soul, if that's understandable by people listening.
Very interesting. Could you share with us a little bit about the? I mean, you talked about how it touched you, but the impact of this on your personal life. I know that you have become pretty much a committed Zionist. I know you visited Israel. Can you share with us that aspects of your life?
Israel is the center of the world as we know it. I think, because out of Israel hails every major religion. Out of Israel hails the beginning of society and civilization. And for me, I believe that Israel is so critical for the world we live in today. So, as knowing scripture as I do and knowing the history of the world, I think that it's an international treasure that we must all treasure and value and keep sacred and holy to our very existence. It is the place where, it's a place of constant conflict. And I would imagine that's probably going to be that way until the end. I think it's the place where Judeo-Christian religion is based, but also the Muslims. And I think that as a place of world thought, as a place of spirituality of the world, in the end, all we have is our spirituality. And so I think that Israel is someplace everybody should visit. As I visited it, it has always been one of those places that has, I feel like I leave time. I feel like I leave this earth. I go into a new place in time that's very, very special.
It may an all encompassing maybe question, but I'd still like to get your opinion from your perspective and the way this thing unfolds and your contacts. In your opinion, how do you see this, let's call it a phenomena, this conversive phenomena, which is unfolding in front of us in present day? From your perspective, what do you think is the importance or the relevance of this phenomena to the Latino community, and to the extent that you can, from your perspective, the Jewish community, and its importance for Israel itself, from your perspective?
Well, we know that there's about 18% of the American population is Hispanic. That means we're talking around 60 million people. Of those 60 million people, it would be interesting to know how many have Jewish heritage in their background. And this whole activity with the Sephardim in the world, it's a piece that's missing. People have not understood it. People have not known about it, and it's been this big secret. I mean, I love the title of this series because it is a secret. Even as I spoke at APAC this last year. This year it was in March. So many people attended and they didn't know about the Sephardim and the Sephardim story. But even a sub-microcosm of that is a Sephardim story of New Mexico. And in my journey, it's important to talk about Corinne Brown and her work with the Society of Crypto-Judaic Studies. As I've attended the conferences, I have learned more about me, about my people. And of course, crypto-Judaic studies, the crypto Jews, the diaspora was all over the world. I mean, it wasn't just New Mexico or Brazil or Mexico or Morocco. But the piece that I represent is a very much living piece that is still crypto. It's still very crypto because many of my family do not want us to talk about it. And when I was growing up, we knew we did things, but we didn't talk about it. Why? And maybe didn't even understand why. And I think that's probably a better statement of the understanding. We just know that this is what you do. My grandmother, a very strong Jewish belief is the value of education. My grandmother, from day one, she never let me off the rope. Was she says, you will become educated. You have to be educated because they can take everything away from you. I didn't ever know who they were, but they can take everything away from you, but they can't take away your education. Your education is forever. And wherever you go, whatever you do, you will have that. And so she did not let up. She insisted that I become educated. Well, the net effect of that was, a bachelor's, 2 masters, and 2 doctorates. And so talk about overkill. My dad at the end was saying after law school was my second doctorate, Juris Doctorate, he said, son, if you don't know it now, you never will know it. So just stop this, But my grandmother, she was happy. She thought this was a good thing. And so, and I used that. I became an assistant dean at the University of Colorado Law School. And I've practiced, I teach now, I teach music. And the music I teach music that is, I teach mariachi music, and that's the music of Mexico. But within that context, I also travel internationally. I've traveled to Ireland, Italy, Peru, Mexico. I don't know, I'm missing a few. And we do concerts all over the world, and we teach dances and we teach pieces. Like this is a piece. It's a circle dance. It's an old Jewish circle dance. with the music of New Mexico.
Okay, you've just opened up. So next time you have a concert, all of us want to be invited.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, when I spoke at the National Conference of the Society of Crypto-Judaic Judaic Studies, I did a whole concert of music and the dances, whether it's circle dances or scarf dances that we do that are in my family that we've done for centuries. And I'm the standard bearer, the culture bearer of these and this music that actually I was one of the first ones to write it out. So here's a scarf dance. And it goes on, but I won't play the whole piece. But you know, in the circle dance, people are in a circle, and I like when I was at the Great Sand Dunes what are they called? Boondoggle?
Dune buggies.
Doom buggy, doom buggy races. I was teaching the circle dance or the scarf dances. The circle dance, everybody's in a circle and goes right and left to the center and back, and it's all the same, and it has been for centuries. And my family, we do these when we come together, and so there are certain members. Actually, there's only about 5 easily nameable families that still teach and do these dances. In Colorado, I'm probably one of 2 that still do that, and then northern New Mexico has 3 or 4 more that are. But other people are picking them up and doing them. There's a young Jewish lad that is in Santa Fe, New Mexico, that has a group called Lone Pinion, and he's adapted and picked them up, and he plays these songs and teaches these dances with great enthusiasm. So that's what we do in my family. And it's really important. My younger son, who's this high-powered trumpet player, plays violin. Like I said, on October 2nd, if you go onto the U.S. Army page, you'll see the Hispanic Month concert, and 8 minutes into the concert, you're going to see us playing a piece. And this is my heritage. This is who we are, and I embrace it. I embrace it with a gusto and an enthusiasm and an acceptance. And I know some people always ask me, Lorenzo, isn't there a conflict when you go into the Catholic Church? No, because Jesus was a Jew. Mary was a Jew. Jesus is a prophet in Judaism. And I know about the teachings of Moses and the other great prophets of Judaism. They're very much a part of my life, and so I'm excited about that, and I embrace it with very much enthusiasm as being raised, you know, with the Catholic religion and the culture that I have.
Wow, that's amazing. And really appreciate to get your story in particular, because as we have been pursuing the Sefarad story and the unfolding conversive phenomena, we've paid a lot of attention to those trying to make their way back. But it was very important for us to show that here you are, a descendant of Sefarad, very comfortable as a Christian, yet embracing your Jewish traditions. And so that was very important for us. One final thought, and I'm not sure that you can help me with this. So one of the things we speak about recently is that academically it's been said that 1 out of every 4 Latinos is a descendant of Sefarad. And living in the neighborhood where there are Latinos, can you, to the best of your ability, if you even have knowledge, do you ever have the opportunity to discuss these matters with other Latinos who are curious, either they know they are or they suspect they might be? Can you speak to that at all?
Yes, I can, Michael. Last night we were at a dinner with Sefarad descendants, and this is all they wanted to talk about. And they were curious about how to get onto the program today, and so I showed them. And unfortunately, many of the people, especially the older generations, do not have a sophisticated capacity, so they're probably going to view this program once it is on the regular Facebook. But this was the conversation, and also wondering how they could find out more. So of course I told them about the society that I know about that's here in Denver, and of course about Peter Tarlow and his group out of Dallas, and the ability to go. And I myself have taken people on trips to Israel, and will continue to once things open up. I think that Rabbi Stefan Leon's, he wrote the book, The Third Commandment and the Return of the B'nai Anusim. I think I don't know how that return is going to happen, but I think there are some people actually go through conversion back to Judaism. Other people return through a process of coming back as a certified Sephardic that left Spain. And I have many friends that are writing books about this now. Carla Siaki, who her father was a Sephardic Jew that was um, in the south of Turkey, in Sardinia, and then went to Portugal and then Mexico. And she's now quite a prominent violinist and musician in Colorado. She's writing a book about her journey and her family, and that'll come out. And so I think people are reaching back, and I think that the organization is so critical. It's a strategic partner in the study and understanding of who we are, because you know what? This is a piece that's missing. When I spoke at APAC, there were so many of the Ashkenazi Jews that didn't even know we were here or about us. And yet when I'm in synagogue here, there are people that I run into that don't believe that we really exist. In fact, there's a professor at the University of Colorado says there's no such thing as crypto Jews. And I said, really? Get real, but he says no, it's not truth, it doesn't exist. And so the bottom line is, I think that what you do is you're creating a bridge of knowledge and understanding. And if that third commandment is ever going to happen in any way, shape, or form, it's going to happen through work of what you're doing, your organization is doing, and people that are willing to speak up and self-identify, and to help others of the same community identify and actually be active participants. Because after all, although Catholicism is one of the world's powerful religions, what is it based upon? What is the basis? It is based upon Judaism. And in the High Mass of the Catholic Church, one of the opening readings is from the Torah. And so, I was talking to the rector of the Cathedral Basilica, where I am the cantor, one of the cantors, and I'm the director of Hispanic sacred music there. And he said, we open up the entire service with the Torah, with the scriptural reading. And he showed it to me, and he told me, he says, so yes, we base everything we do on the teachings of Judaism, and then it comes forth from there.
Wow. That we'll close on this high note. So first of all, thank you so much, Lorenzo. First of all, for sharing with us your journey. Also, I would like to thank you for acknowledging the work of Jewish Heritage Alliance. I thank you for, and I appreciate your acknowledgement. We hope to have more sessions with you in the future. For a copy of this interview and for future webinars and information, follow us on Facebook and/or our website. We will put up information about Lorenzo's website for those who want to follow Lorenzo's work. Thank you again, Lorenzo. I wish you a great rest of the day. And it's a very important day. You know, today Israel has accumulated 2 more peace agreements, so this is a very monumental day that you spoke at. And so it'll be easy to remember. Thank you, thank you, and thank you. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
See you.
Bye-bye.